Joseph Loray, are you afraid of the dark?
You would be surprised to learn that the answer is yes.
Are you afraid of doing these 3, 4, 5 times maybe to get the perfect capture for TA Plays?
I'm less afraid of that than I was the first time I played this game, which was last night with my headphones on. It was raining. It was kind of the perfect storm for being creeped out by the scary Scandinavian horse monster game.
Yeah. All right. So what we're playing right here is the Horse Monster game, or otherwise known as Year Walk. It's Simogo Games' newest game. These are the guys that made Bumpy Road and Beat Sneak Bandit, so it's kind of a change of pace for these guys. It's a 2D first-person horror game. And if you're watching it on Wednesday, it'll be out tonight. You can check it out. Year Walking is an interesting thing, Joseph Loray. Do you want to tell the folks what it's all about?
Sure. A year walk is something that happens during important kind of transitional parts of the year. You can do one on like the summer solstice. You can do one on Christmas Eve. You can do one New Year's Eve. And it's kind of the transitional time where all this supernatural elements start to come out and start to happen. And, you know, there are monsters, and it's and the idea is that you lock yourself in your cabin. You don't see,
Check.
You don't eat or sleep or drink anything or interact with anyone for an entire day. And at midnight, you come out, you walk to the church, and you will see your future. But, you know, the trick, of course, is that there are these creepy Swedish monsters that are going to try to stop you along the way.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the background of the game here.
Yeah, and this is actually the very start of the game. And if at any point you're like, man, I would like to buy this video game, go ahead, just stop watching the video and do it, because the bad thing about these TA plays is we're going to have to spoil part of the game. A lot of it's puzzles. I would you could argue that this is a 2D puzzle game as well.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, like part of solving the puzzles, you know, that's the fun part right there. So,
right, yeah.
Just beware.
Yeah, so far, I mean, the cabin we saw at the beginning is presumably our character's house. We started there, and we're going and we're talking to this lady who we obviously have some sort of relationship with in the windmill. And then eventually we're going to end up back at our cabin, and we're going to start the year walk process. And that's where the meat of the game is. It's like I said, this supernatural thing where, you know, these monsters and creepy crawlies are coming out, and, you know, it's up to us to kind of deal with it to eventually get into the church.
Mm-hmm. Man, I wish it wasn't our cabin. I wish we were just the guy calling from upstairs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that'd be great. Dial your own number.
But you can see how, like, the nice thing about this game is kind of the transition between screens, where kind of there's this perspective shift.
Yeah. We should talk about that. So you swipe right to move right. You swipe left to move left. And whenever you see an arrow, you can swipe that direction, so you can kind of see the perspective shift right here.
Yeah. I think it's a really neat effect. I think it's really kind of striking.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. And this game's kind of built like an old 90s PC RPG where, screens compose the world. Almost like a Metroid game where, like, you have a map with blocks. You know what I mean? Like a finite amount of space you can move, but the blocks are all compiled really weird ways.
Right, yeah. I would say a lot, not a lot of it, but part of the game is definitely trying to figure out how the different screens connect and loop back around each other, and just learning your way around.
Yeah.
Which sounds, when you say it out loud, sounds like a not fun, game. You walk around the woods and you try to find your way around. Like, that's lame, right? But, the visual design and the audio design and just kind of the creepiness of it all makes it a really tense moment when you don't know where you're going or how to get back on solid footing,
Right.
Like, I definitely spent, several minutes the first time I played it not being able to find my cabin. And since the cabin was kind of my reference point for how to move around in the world, like, it was kind of a panicky feeling when I just could not get to where I was going. And this idea of being lost in the woods in, the middle of the night during a snowstorm is kind of It's kind of this oppressive, scary thing that the game pulls off really well. And
Yeah.
that's just like your basic navigation. We haven't even talked about the puzzles or the monsters or the story yet. Like,
Right.
just existing is this scary thing.
Yeah, yeah, and the sound design and the visual design work really well. Like I really like this constricted angle and like the way your camera kind of bobs. Like I don't know if you're noticing that, viewer, but camera kind of like gently like goes back and forth a little bit. That's not me shaking my phone. That's just a thing that's happening right now.
Right, yeah.
It's
And
kind
you
of
can-
grainy. You can see like those little pops in the film.
Right. And you can hear each footstep as your guy kind of walks around in the snow.
Good snow crunching sound. Very
That's
few
true.
games knock that out of the park. Earwalk knocks it out of the park.
Although I would imagine, I mean, like the Smogo guys are they from Sweden?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they can probably just like walk outside their office and tromp through the snow.
Oh man. See, this is why I'm glad I live on an island. 'Cause no snow, bro.
No,
What's the temperature right now? Ask me what the temperature is.
what's the temperature, Brad?
It's so hot I don't care. It's like 70 or 80. I don't know.
What? That's crazy. It's freezing here.
What's this winter garbage that you guys have to experience?
Yeah.
So
anyway,
yeah. Here's the goal right here. You get a key, or no, you don't get a key. Excuse me. We got to the church, which is the point of the year walk. Unfortunately, the church is locked, and thus our adventure begins as one of the first monsters in the game that you meet, the Holdra, grabs the key. Now, I don't think we mentioned it this time, Joseph, but you can get the Yearwalk Companion. It's a free download alongside the game. And what that does is it kind of really tells you about the lore and the things you'll meet along the way. And there's quite an extensive little chapter about the Holdra.
Right, and I would say that reading the companion kind of gives you some insights on how these different monsters, interact and kind of what to expect when you're dealing with them. And so, like, on the one hand, reading the companion kind of gives you some clues, maybe some kind of indirect, kind of roundabout hints on the puzzles that you're going to be doing. But it also introduces you to a lot of like creatures that you haven't seen yet. And
Yeah.
once you know kind of what is out in these woods, but you don't know when or where they're going to pop up, that's another layer of tension, I think.
Especially the pond unicorn. That thing freaks me out.
Yeah, it's super scary. And like
Yeah.
the first time you find the pond, you know that this pond horse is going to be there, and it's a really kind of tense thing. I think. I mean, the game just a fantastic job of setting the mood and really making you feel, the way that it wants you to feel, which is presumably like unnerved and on edge.
Yeah, definitely. It's really good at that. I'm trying to find the Holdra who has the key currently.
Yeah.
Just hanging out in the woods, walking around, hungry.
So you're back at square one.
There we go. I like square one. It's a lot better than square two. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't
The
know
nice
what
thing
I'm
is,
saying.
like, at least the first couple times you walk around through here, you're going to see the same screens over and over and over. And as you solve more puzzles and learn more things, those screens will start to change. So the sense
Yeah.
of like, you think that you're kind of familiar with stuff, and then all of a sudden you're not.
Yeah.
Or you solve a puzzle, and then all of a sudden there's this new pathway that you have to go down that you've never seen before.
Yeah.
So it does a good job of kind of taking this limited, kind of constricted space. There's probably only maybe a dozen screens, but every time you solve a puzzle or interact with something, they change in different ways. And it can be kind of startling the first time you think you know where you're going, and then all of a sudden there's a monster there where 5 minutes ago there wasn't.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I remember playing Quest for Glory 2 Trial by Fire, right? And to get around the whole just calling it a screen thing, this game was based in the desert. They called it Scareens. Skareens. And the characters would be like, yeah, it's 3 Scareens east, 2 Scareens north.
Like a unit of distance or something.
Yeah, exactly.
You should be close, right?
Yeah, I think I'm almost there. Maybe. Boom.
Oh, there she is.
So she's interesting too. She's like kind of like a succubus, like a ghost temptress kind of thing going on, at least in the lore. So you kind of wonder, especially if you're playing by yourself and not watching two boners play over the internet, you kind of wonder, it's like, what does she want here? Should I be following her? Because she takes a lot more than she gives. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Smogo just makes you look at it. Like that's what I like. It's just like, hey man, you're in for it. Now look at it. You know,
Right.
just meditate on this for a little bit.
Do you think there's a connection between her and the woman at the beginning of the game in the windmill?
Ooh,
Because they kind of look alike, right?
No,
Or maybe
they kind of do.
I don't know.
Maybe you're onto something, man.
I don't know. Maybe.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Sorry. I mean, I haven't gotten far enough to know if that's true or not. But when I first saw her, I was like, "Why is my girlfriend at the church taking my key?" But she's not. She's not.
I don't think your girlfriend had sticks in her back, though. I distinctly remember that from the beginning of this video. I did not see any sticks in her back.
No.
Just, throwing that out there. I don't think she was green either.
Right.
So this is actually the first puzzle of the game. So again, if you want to avoid spoilers, this is the place where you stop. It's a fantastic game. I love it to death. Joseph, you're reviewing it. You're pretty into it too, right?
I am. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, man. It's great. You just tap on the environment. Like I don't know. The controls are pretty intuitive, like any other Smogo game. So like anything you think you can do, you can pinch, poke, spin, tap.
Yeah.
This is the part where I stumbled pretty hard the first time I played, and the same for you too. Like trying to build up that video game vocabulary is pretty tough at first, but like once you get rolling, like once you tackle this first puzzle, it seems to really click. At least, like for me, it did. Like I immediately just took off and like solved everything.
Right. And I think a lot of good puzzle games do this. You'll start to kind of see the connections between two different places, and then it's just a matter of like finding that clicking point, I guess.
Yeah.
And once you find where we're going, you'll be able to see immediately that the two places are connected, and then it's just a matter of figuring out like, okay, how do I exploit that connection to a thing that makes sense?
Yeah, this build-up is something I mentioned it in my preview. Is the thing that the best puzzle games nail is like whenever you finally make that connection and understand how all the systems interrelate, and you kind of build up that verb list, which like back in the day, verb lists were actual things that were just a part of the UI. They're intimate parts of the experience, right? It's just like you can open, pick,
Yeah, exactly.
Close, push, pull. In modern puzzle games, it's really just kind of like experiencing that verb list, and then you're just like, okay, now I know I can spin, which is what we did right here. Yeah, if you look at the cabin, like I shouldn't have got stuck here. There are two owls on the side of this thing. I mean, come on, man. How big of a hint do I need?
Well, for me, like I saw the owls, but I just couldn't figure out how to get the doll to start moving, right?
Right, yeah.
So I would spin the head, and it would spin back, and you just have to keep spinning until it kind of triggers.
Yeah.
And so, like, there's no denying that that you're going to get stuck a few times, and there's really no way to know that you just have to keep spinning the head until you do it enough times.
Yeah.
Until you ask somebody, which some people don't like that. Maybe the game should tell you more about what's going on. But I do think it kind of lends itself to this kind of scary, oppressive atmosphere where you just want somebody to help you.
Yeah.
Right? In this case, it's going to be, your people, on the internet. I'm sure there are going to be forum threads about it. So I don't think there's any shame in kind of reaching out for help because, that's the kind of game it is.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And, that's something they want you to do, too. Smogo does.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, our hints to each other were pretty funny, I think.
Yeah, and, like, if you really buy into it and if you really let the game kind of grab you, at least for me, I was definitely kind of on edge and tense enough that I just wanted somebody to be, like, helping me out because it's a scary, creepy game that you don't really want to experience by yourself.
It's really unnerving.
Yeah.
So here's the inside of this puzzle. And if you didn't catch it, that scary doll thing was kind of like a music box. You wound it up. It told us what sequence to play the owls in. And this one is another music-focused puzzle where you have to listen to voices, and if they sync up the harmony, right? Is that what you're trying to say? I'm not a music guy, Joseph Loret. You need to help me out here.
Okay, sure. So you go into the tree, and
done.
The music changes, right? The background music, I guess. And each of these white lights has a certain voice attached to it. And some of them sound really bad with the background music, and one of them will sound good. And as you get further in the puzzle, the music will change, and it's up to you to kind of match the harmonies together. So, like, if you're tone deaf, you might have a hard time. I'm not sure. I don't know if tone deafness is something that happens to a lot of people, but yeah, you'll definitely have to listen closely and and kind of see what matches up. And maybe you like, Skrillex, so maybe you think the bad sounds are the good sounds, but
the bad sounds are the best sounds.
Yeah,
I'll just say.
Yeah, there's no drop in this game though.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, they never dropped the beat during this puzzle, so I don't know. I think they might have missed an opportunity there.
Yeah. Oh, I'm on a roll over here.
Yeah, you doing well? You hearing it?
Yeah. It took me a while. The first time I actually did this, I just couldn't quite get it. Like I was always just like I feel like I was always close to the solution. Like I was the one right next to it, right?
Really, I felt like this was one of the more intuitive puzzles from the beginning of the game.
Maybe I'm a little tone deaf. Maybe I got a little touch of the tone deaf.
Yeah, you got a tin ear.
A tin ear. I like it.
Yeah, have you never heard that?
No, that sounds pretty Midwestern though.
Probably, yeah. I guess it's kind of like having a green thumb.
Yeah.
Just the different parts of your body are just weird.
They should make a human that's just nothing but those little phrases.
Right, so we found the Huldra finally.
What's up, Huldra? How you doing? Oh!
Boom, that's how she's doing.
Oh, man. And, like now, from this point forward, your world's kind of different. Like, it's not to say that the screens have changed, but the things that the screens mean and do have from this point forward as you kind of move forward and meet another mystical beast. And again, the Yearwalk Companion is brilliant for this because now you're dreading and anticipating meeting these monsters. It's weird.
Yeah, exactly. Like, again, you know what's out there because the companion told you. You just don't know where they are or what they're going to do to you.
Right.
Which is a scary thing. So
yeah. Let's meet Pond Horse, by the way. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. Your key just melted into a puddle of water, which, if you've explored the map enough to know kind of where the river is,
yeah,
that's kind of your next clue to lead you there. Boom, there he is.
Pond Horse, what's up?
He's so dapper.
He's kind of dapper.
He's got a little bolo tie on or something.
So here's the funny thing. First time I played this game, when you have to click on the key right there, I thought I grabbed it. I was like, well, peace out. Later.
I got the key. Let's go. Yeah.
I don't need to find anything. His puzzles are really interesting. So it's a lot about searching the environment for some babies, I guess.
Yep.
Creepy babies for the Pond Horse.
And again, like if you read the companion, it kind of drops a hint that the Pond Horse will, the ghost of these babies, the Brook Horse will sometimes kind of take them in and shelter them, which is kind of your clue to find the babies and bring them back.
Right, yeah. And if you're paying attention the first time we started walking through this part of the forest, and I think I hit it like 4 or 5 times when I got lost there for a second. The wagon just got added. You can move it around with your finger and stuff. It's pretty cool, man, how all these puzzles really just spring out of nowhere, but in a smart way. Like, you didn't feel like... It's not like the door that suddenly opens in puzzle games, or any video game, right? Like, you can't exit this door until you accomplish X.
Right.
I feel like they introduced the new objects in a really smart way.
Right, yeah. And some new concepts, too. Like, eventually, to solve this puzzle, you're going to have to kind of play with the gyroscope in your eye device in a way that you haven't before, and so that kind of introduces a new kind of possibility for how to solve future puzzles and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it really gets you thinking. Like, I think, and it was pointed out to me from some Ogos, maybe it's probably better to play this game more experientially than it is mechanically. Don't think so much about that verb list that I was talking about, even though my head's kind of grounded in that kind of logic. Just, listen, pay attention, walk around the world, just experience it, and eventually it'll come to you, which, is, again, probably why we got stuck in this little cabin here, because we weren't really... I don't know, we didn't really play with the environment too much. Instead, we were just like, well, I didn't trigger something, so what do I need to do?
Right, yeah.
Which is interesting. But anyway, I think that'll do it for our look at Yearwalk. Again, it's available tonight. You should be able to grab it, or Thursday, or whenever, man. I'm all sorts of into this game. I don't know about you, Joseph Ray. How do you feel?
I agree. I'm enjoying it. I can't wait to actually get off this video and solve my next puzzle.
All right, then. All right, so Yearwalk, check it out. It's pretty cool, man.
Yep, enjoying it a lot.